Hello, and welcome to a new video. And in this video, we're going to be covering MF Doom, the villain, the man, the mask. And we're going to be going over all of his powers, abilities, and feats. And without further ado, let's get on with the show. Now, starting off with, say, just simple shit, like, say, his AP, his speed, because that's gonna be like the shortest ones that at least get the explanations out into, like, I guess you would say the later parts, where I get into, like, I guess you would say the cosmology of, what do they call this verse? I'll probably think of it as something of just the rap world. But getting into his speed, he should at least like scale to like Mr. Fantastic, or at least lyrics in King Ghidorah, whereas pretty much his flow is pretty much that of Interstellar Wind, which can pretty much just reach up to about light speed, and Mr. Fantastic can pretty much reach from Venus to Mars back to Earth again 1,300 times faster than light. But he has like way higher speed feats getting later on. But getting into his AP, both his fists pretty much pack about 1 million volts. Which, on the low end, like you can get that up into like building level. But with some of his, I guess you would say, like the flow of his raps, he can pretty much just manipulate his size thanks to ridiculous extremes. Range being bigger than Mount Kilimanjaro, or literally just taller than the solar system. And the Rhinestone Cowboy, in the last lyrics, his flow, he has enough rhymes to literally reach across the boundless universes, easily giving his AP via raps just easily in the multi-plus. But now getting into like some of the crazier shit in his hacks, like his objective reality in terms of like what he can pretty much just do with his raps is literally insane. To where he even subjective realities himself into his own subjective reality. Like getting into like stuff like his plot hacks, like he can just straight up just destroy rap. That's pretty much like an intricate plot of what B-Boy is strapped. And this gets like to even insaner levels in like JJ Doom, to where you can just summon a whole ass volcano to like destroy the rap world just like the white man. And this pretty much just means like he can just destroy an entire whole ass meta narrative. In terms of like you already saw with like you already heard with like the Rhinestone Cowboy being up to reach about to like the boundless universes, like he can easily destroy holy shit, like infinite meta narratives. It was pretty damn easy. In like Operation Doomsday, hey, rhymes like dimes, he pretty much can also literally also just emit electromagnetism that pretty much just blocks all logic. This is definitely like a main staple as power that's very fairly consistent with like other, I guess you would say, archetypes of Doom, including King Ghidorah, as well as Victor Von, who's, I guess you would say, another persona, an archetype of Doom that Doom either straight up either consistently has beef with, or at least fights. And they're like relatively like easy scalable to each other. And like he's clearly weaponized like both offensively and defensively with this electromagnetism. This shit is practically just all up in his melanin. King Ghidorah pretty much like channels his knowledge to Doom from like outer space. And King Ghidorah is pretty much that of like an etheric being. Like that motherfucker's not even on the earth, and he can still channel that energy. Him and Doom pretty much like scale to like having like ridiculous social influencing. With King Ghidorah pretty much having a fan base literally larger than Japan, or at least large as Japan, and like pretty much social influencing fucking Japanese people is hard as shit. So like, that's like very high end, like peak social influence, and giving like, that's a whole ass country of people who are extremely bloody superstitious of strangers, let alone this entire etheric being of a fucking three-headed monster. You're just social influencing just an entire country. And this social influencing is even powerful enough to just have Doom literally even social influence allies crazy or mad enough to blast them. Mentioned Doom literally has like non-physical interaction, being able to turn his rhymes into dimes. Literally have the fucking rhymes literally put his opponents in the cobra clutch, literally grab you, stab you. Also, his sneezes are like so bloody cold that it can literally just freeze vodka. Like negative 173 degrees Fahrenheit. And this snot is also like super bloody toxic and can absorb oxygen just straight out of the air. You can also just straight up transmute people into icicles, mannequins for Afflecking, and can survive even blowing himself up like hydrogen. He also has clairvoyance, precognition, you can literally see the end of all days. You can literally see spirits, exorcise the fucking gyms, send spirits throughout the ceilings. Telekinesis, you can literally just tell who the hell's a whack-ass MC just from glancing. Not to mention, like, his objective reality is also just straight up, like, passive. And, like, he can also just straight up, like, pass his powers down to, like, even these rando-ass kids with, like, just as a disembodied mass. BFR people to the mental plane, avoid bad karma, you literally send people to purgatory, have them sprung up through the matrix, trapped in the zone. Not to mention, this motherfucker can just passively smoke a joint. Like, you wouldn't even know what the hell he's really smoking. And he just alters his perception to where everything he sees with fast action is literally just in slow motion. He has an aura that literally commands authority, can defy the laws of space and time, as well as calculating the sands of time in slow motion. Most ridiculously of all, he can just straight up just phase his entire body through like the fourth dimension entirely. And now getting into like the really big heavy hitting shit, going back to like that electromagnetism that blocks all logic. In that same rap of Rhymes Like Dimes, he also explains that him and the mic are that of yin and yang, which on paper that wouldn't really mean anything. That's like, oh, you got like yin yang manip. No, like the reason why this is so big is because of like shit like Bishop Naru and going back to JJ Doom. Because in Bishop Naru, there's this concept, this contrast that's pretty much expanding within the entire universe. And contrast is pretty much as a concept that of like dualities. And like within like infinite amount of these contrasts, like one of them has to be at least like the concept of like space, time, like mathematics, with like this fantastic pretty much just straight up embodying being pure math. In like Quasimodo's planned attack, like Lord Quas pretty much makes a distinction between that of the conceptual and unconceptual, with his gang pretty much just spreading like an unconceptual mold, which in terms of like Doom pretty much embodying that of yin and yang and being beyond all logic would logically give him like type 4 transduality, which would be just straight up ridiculous, just jumping the power into like irrelevant speed and out reversal. Pretty much like other rappers in this verse, he can also control his own fate, as well as move his huge hands in the dark like Fate. Mentioned like other rappers, he could also just send the mic, literally just sent straight through your heart. Oh boy, like also rappers like Top Quali can literally just make cartoons just realer than reality. Again, more of that subjective reality stuff. Not to mention, like, I'm not sure if anyone else would probably want to count this as, say, like, conceptual in it, since it's probably, I guess you would say, a different album. That's, I guess you would say, very far out in the Doom spectrum, but in Nostradamus, literally just changes the entire concept of love into poison, pretty much upheavaling the literal underlying truth of the concept, and pretty much just utterly changing it. And you could probably say it's like at least like consistent to like Victor Vaughn in Fancy Clown, to where his homies pretty much like warned him that girl was poisoned, like beating the courts to set. And I guess you would say that adds like another layer of like conceptual manip on the Doom. But yeah, that's the absolute just ridiculously just busted nature of MF Doom. And yeah, you pretty much feel like I probably left something out. Maybe an album I missed, or a song I missed. Be sure to leave something on down comments. But until next time, see you guys later.